Now you'll think twice before showing off your salary. When Anna got a promotion at work and a big raise, her husband slapped her in the face. But it seems he forgot. Anna used to be a wrestler when she was young. Hello everyone, before we start, tell us where you're listening from if you've subscribed to the channel, and don't forget to leave a like. We wish you a pleasant listen. Anna couldn't believe her ears. A huge office with a view of Moscow's business center, a heavy oak desk, and the branch's general director sitting across from her. He had just offered her the position of financial director. Her, a regular girl from Saratov, who came to Moscow 15 years ago with one worn-out suitcase, and what back then seemed like an impossible dream of a better life. I don't even know what to say, Valery Sergeevich, she mumbled, nervously tucking a loose strand of hair back into her neat hairstyle. The director leaned back in his leather chair, clasped his hands over his round belly, and looked at her over his thin-framed glasses. Just say, "Yes, Anna Mikhailovna, you're the best financial specialist in our branch," he said with a smile, pulling open a drawer and handing her a thin folder with documents. "And between us, you led us to first place in every metric last quarter. The staff respects you. The clients value you. Take a look at the new salary, double what you are now." He tapped a line in the contract. Plus yearly bonuses, an extended benefits package, and a company car. Think about it until tomorrow, but I'm really hoping you'll accept. When the office door closed, Anna sat frozen on the soft visitor's sofa, afraid to scare away her sudden stroke of luck. A beam of sunlight slipped through the blinds, dancing across the silver picture frame on the director's desk. At 34, she would become the youngest female financial director in their regional network. Her first instinct was to call Igor right away, but she stopped herself, gripping her phone. Better to tell him in person over dinner. Maybe even cook something special. Meat and cheese casserole, his favorite dish since the start of their relationship. Anna stepped out of the glass business center into the busy street, breathed in the warm May air, and smiled. She had always loved this part of Moscow. Wide sidewalks, young lime trees lined up along the road, and little cozy cafes. She remembered how, 15 years ago, she first came here, nervously looking around, frightened by the huge city, the tall buildings, and the crowds of people always rushing somewhere. On her way home, she stopped by a big sports store on Leninskaya Avenue. Igor had been dreaming about getting a treadmill for a long time. For the past 3 years, he had been training hard, trying to get rid of his small belly. A real man should have abs, not a barrel, he liked to repeat. Now they could finally afford it. Anna picked up a glossy catalog with a smiling athlete on the cover, showing off his toned body. She flipped through the pages, imagining how happy Igor would be. "Can I help you with something?" A young salesgirl in a bright blue uniform walked up to her with a professional smile. "Yes, I'd like to," Anna began, but then paused. "You know what? I'd better talk to my husband first. Could I take this catalog?" "Of course," the girl nodded. "All our contacts are inside. Call us when you decide." At home, Anna laid out all the ingredients for the casserole on the kitchen table: ground meat, cheese, onions, spices, and fresh herbs. She turned on her old cassette player, one of the few things she had brought with her from Saratov. It still played the songs of Mashine of Remini, the band from their youth. As the familiar chords filled the small kitchen, a memory instantly came back, the first time she met Igor. They had met at a Makarevich concert in Gorky Park. She was 19, he was 22. She stood in the crowd, singing along to the songs she knew since childhood, when she suddenly felt someone's eyes on her. She turned around. A tall guy with dark curly hair was smiling at her. During the break between songs, he came closer and shouted over the noise, "You look just like the heroine from the campfire song, as if Makarevich wrote it about you." It was the most beautiful compliment she had ever received. Later, he walked her back to her dorm, even though he lived all the way across Moscow in Medvedkovo. "I can't let you walk alone," he told her. "What if this is my only chance in life to meet a girl with fiery red curls?" Anna smiled at the memory. They had been so young, so carefree. The first 5 years of their marriage had felt like pure happiness. They lived in a small one-room Khrushchevka apartment that Anna had inherited from her grandmother. The wallpaper was faded, the parquet floor creaked, and the kitchen was tiny. But still, it was their home, their little fortress. Igor worked as a mechanic at a nearby auto shop. Anna was an accountant in a small trading company. On weekends, they would visit his parents' dacha. In the summer, they sometimes went to a tourist camp on the Volga. They dreamed of having a child, but kept putting it off. First, the apartment renovations drained their time and money. Then Anna decided to get a university degree, and later Igor got involved in a promising business with a friend that went bankrupt after just 3 months. And then came the first warning sign of future problems. Anna was promoted to senior accountant. By today's standards, it wasn't a huge step up, but back then it felt like the happiest moment of her career. She rushed home glowing with excitement, carrying Igor's favorite Praga cake from the bakery down the street. "Guess what? I got promoted," she blurted out the moment Igor stepped through the door. "I'm senior accountant now, and I'll have my own team of 3 people." She expected him to hug her, to share her joy. Instead, Igor frowned, tossed his jacket on the hanger, and walked into the kitchen. He poured himself tea, lit a cigarette, even though he had quit more than a year ago. "So what now? You're the boss at work and at home too?" he muttered without looking at her. "Telling me do this, do that. Like that joke about female bosses. Daytime commander, nighttime." He didn't finish the sentence, just took another drag. Anna stood in the kitchen doorway, still holding the cake box, not knowing what to say. The festive mood disappeared instantly. She told herself it was just a bad day, that everyone has them. She quietly put the untouched cake in the fridge. A month later, they traveled to meet his mother in Istra, a town near Moscow. Galina Petrovna, a retired math teacher, was a strict, strong-willed woman with very clear ideas of what a family should look like. "The husband is the head of the family. The wife is a support," she declared firmly, while cutting a cabbage pie on an old tablecloth patterned with faded daisies. "Back in our time, women knew their place. My own mother, may she rest in peace, worked at the factory all her life, raised 3 kids, and never once argued with my father. And now, everyone's gone crazy with their independence. That's why we have divorces, single mothers, broken children's lives." Anna sat at the round table, the starch-white tablecloth in front of her, and stayed quiet, though inside, she was boiling. She wanted to object, to say times had changed, that equality was normal, that women had a right to a career. But she held back, forcing a polite smile and mumbling something neutral about every family having its own traditions. It wasn't the time for open conflict with her mother-in-law, though her views deeply bothered Anna. What hurt even more was that Igor sat beside her, nodding in agreement with every word his mother said. After that visit, other warning signs appeared. Igor's irritation when she stayed late at work to finish quarterly reports. Strange questions about her male colleagues. Igor had started checking her phone when she was in the shower. Once, Anna came out of the bathroom and caught him scrolling through her messages. He didn't even try to hide it. He claimed he had seen something suspicious, but of course he found nothing. More and more often, Anna remembered her father's voice from childhood. She was only 10 when he told her, "A girl must know how to stand up for herself. The world is cruel, especially to women. I want you to grow strong." That's why from ages 10 to 16 she trained in karate, earning a brown belt and competing in city tournaments. But after moving to Moscow, she gave it up. Studies, work, and new responsibilities took over. Now she wiped her sweaty palms on a kitchen towel embroidered with cornflowers, a gift from her elderly neighbor last New Year. She glanced at the old cuckoo clock on the wall. 10 minutes to 7. Igor would be home soon. She set the oven timer and began preparing cheese sauce from a recipe she had clipped years ago from Rabotnitsa magazine. The sound of a key turning in the lock reached her. "Dinner's almost ready," she called with a smile, turning toward the door. But when she saw Igor's face in the doorway, her smile faded instantly. He stood there with a stone expression, holding his phone tightly. His dark eyes, once full of adoration, were now cold, like November ice on the Moscow River. "I called your office," he said in a low, hissing voice. "Wanted to know when you'd be done. Maybe pick you up. And your secretary tells me. Congratulations to Anna Mikhailovna on her new position as financial director." She's in a meeting right now. When exactly were you planning to tell me about your promotion? He spit out the last word, as if it were something dirty. In his eyes, Anna saw something new, frightening, a mix of anger, humiliation, and something else she couldn't name. Her heart raced. She was still holding the exercise equipment catalog in her hand. Suddenly, it felt out of place, almost dangerous. Carefully, as if it might explode, she set it down on the table. Yes, Igor. I was promoted. She tried to keep her voice calm, though inside, she braced herself for the argument that was coming. I wanted to tell you at dinner. I thought it would be a nice surprise. Surprise? He gave a bitter laugh and tossed his phone onto the counter. Well, it worked. The whole office knows, and I'm the last to find out. He walked past her, pulled a beer from the fridge, and popped the cap with a sharp click. Silence filled the kitchen. Only then did Anna realize the cassette player was still on. The song Poverot played softly in the background. Even the music suddenly sounded tense, unsettling. Igor, I just found out today, she explained quickly. Valery Sergeevich called me in after lunch. It was unexpected. I came straight home to cook your favorite dinner. Look, I even grabbed the catalog for treadmills. You've wanted one for so long. Now we can finally afford it. She offered him the glossy catalog, but Igor didn't even glance at it. He took a long swig of beer and dropped heavily into a chair. Afford, he repeated, almost mocking her. So, now you're the one deciding what we can afford? Financial director. He said the title with such contempt that Anna instinctively stepped back. And what does that make me? The husband of a financial director? Just an accessory to some successful businesswoman. What are you saying? Anna shot back, hurt. You're my husband. We're a family. I just got a promotion, that's all. Are you not happy for me? Anna asked. Happy. Igor jumped up so quickly, he almost knocked over the chair. Do you know what Sergey said to me today? Hey, Igor, I heard your wife's a big shot now. Soon she'll be bossing everyone around while you just follow along. Yes, dear, of course, dear. That's what I have to listen to. So what? Anna snapped, her face burning with anger. Since when do you care what other people say? That's your insecurity, Igor, not mine. I'm just doing my job well. Her words seemed to deflate him. His shoulders slumped, and he turned to the window. Evening was falling over Moscow, the lights of hundreds of apartment windows glowing like tiny squares across the skyline. Your mom called, he said quietly. Out of the blue. She asked how we're doing. Anna felt a chill inside. Igor's conversations with his mother, Galina Petrovna, never brought anything good. She always knew how to stir up old resentments in her son. And what did you tell her? Anna asked. Nothing special, he shrugged. Just that my wife is a big boss now. You know what she said? Careful, son. Don't let her find herself a new husband. Bossy women like everything perfect at home, too. Anna rolled her eyes. That's ridiculous. Your mother always loves to exaggerate. My promotion doesn't change our relationship, unless you're the one who decides to ruin it. She walked over and tried to hug him, but he pulled away. The rejection stung more than she expected. I need some air, Igor muttered, heading to the hallway. Don't wait up. Igor, wait, she called after him. Let's talk like adults. But the front door slammed shut before she could finish. Anna stood alone in the kitchen with an unfinished dinner and a cooling oven. Silence filled the apartment. The cassette had stopped playing, but she didn't feel like putting on another. Mechanically, she turned off the oven, put the groceries back in the fridge, and walked to the window. She looked down into the dark courtyard. Igor was nowhere in sight. He must have already left, to the garages with his friends, to his mother, or maybe to the bar on the next street. With a heavy heart, Anna sat in the living room and turned on the TV, but she didn't hear a word the news anchor was saying. Her thoughts kept circling around the day, how it had started so perfectly and ended so painfully. Maybe it was her fault. Maybe she should have called him right away, told him about the promotion over the phone. But she had wanted to see his reaction in person, to share the joy face to face. Foolish. Naive. The shrill ring of the phone snapped her out of her thoughts. On the screen, the name Marina appeared, her friend since technical school. Hi, Anya, came Marina's cheerful voice on the phone. So, how's the new financial director doing? Anna sat on the edge of the couch, surprised. Wait, how do you know about that? Your secretary called me today. Marina laughed. She wanted your home address to send flowers, but I kind of teased her a bit, and she told me everything. Congratulations, my friend. That's amazing. Thanks, Anna answered quietly. But Igor doesn't exactly share your excitement. There was silence on the line. Then Marina sighed. Don't tell me he made a scene. Anna quickly explained what had happened. Marina listened, only adding small murmurs of sympathy here and there. You know, Marina said once Anna finished, I've been meaning to tell you this for a while. Something's going on with Igor. Remember at the city day last year? How he reacted when you talked about your job. And the way he looked at Serioza when he mentioned their female commercial director? The sarcastic jokes, the way he acted all dismissive, that wasn't nothing. You're exaggerating. Anna tried to defend her husband, though deep down she knew Marina was right. I am not exaggerating, Marina cut in. Remember Sveta Fedorova? Her husband also started with jealousy and bitterness about her success. It ended with a broken nose and a court case. Don't say that, Anna protested. Igor has never laid a hand on me. He's just going through a rough patch. Work problems, pressure from his boss. He feels like a failure.
Exactly.
And now that your success is out in the open, that feeling will only get worse. Anya, please be careful. I'm not saying he'll definitely get violent, but stay alert. They chatted a little longer before saying goodbye. Anna turned off the TV and lay down on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Outside, it was already dark. The streetlight cast a soft yellow glow through the window, throwing strange shadows of the plants onto the wall. Her thoughts drifted back to when she had first met Igor. Back then, he had been so attentive and caring. He'd walk her home after classes, carry her heavy books, even wait for her in the rain when she stayed late. He was so proud when she graduated with honors. Was all of that really gone now? When had it changed? Maybe Igor was right. Maybe she had changed. Maybe she'd become too ambitious, too focused on work and not enough on family. But no, that wasn't true. She always tried to keep their home warm and welcoming, always cared about him. Wasn't her success meant to be their success? Didn't she want a better life for both of them? By midnight, Igor still hadn't come home. She called him several times, but his phone was turned off. Finally, she went to bed alone in their bedroom, lying awake, listening to every sound in the building, waiting for the door to slam or his footsteps on the stairs. But the night passed quietly. In the morning, Anna woke to her alarm clock. She was still alone. Igor hadn't returned. With a heavy heart, she got dressed quickly and prepared to leave for work. Today, Anna had to give Valery Sergeevich her answer about the offer. Just yesterday, she was sure she would accept it. But now, for the first time, she wondered if it was right. Was it foolish to reject such an opportunity just because her husband was upset? Igor would calm down, they would talk, and everything would be fine. They were adults, after all. 7 years of marriage wasn't a small thing. You can't just throw it all away because of one fight. She locked her apartment door and took the elevator down. In the courtyard, she ran into her neighbor, Nina Pavlovna, who was walking her old Pekingese, Bonya. Good morning, Anechka. The older woman greeted warmly. I saw your Igor last night. He came home late. Poor guy could barely stand on his feet. I almost went over to help, but he looked so grim I was afraid. Anna's heart skipped a beat. So he had come home. Then why hadn't she heard him? Thank you, Nina Pavlovna, Anna nodded. He just had a hard day at work. The neighbor gave her a sympathetic look, and Anna hurried onto the metro. On the way, she tried calling Igor. His phone was still off. At the office, she found a huge bouquet of white roses from her colleagues and a fruit basket from another department head. A card on the flowers read, "Congratulations to our new financial director," signed by a dozen people. Despite the problems at home, Anna couldn't help but smile. These people believed in her. They valued her professionalism. At lunch, she went to see Valery Sergeevich. He greeted her cheerfully. Well, Anna Mikhailovna, Have you thought about my offer? He asked, pointing to the chair opposite him. Yes, Valery Sergeevich, Anna replied firmly. I agree to accept the position of financial director. Excellent. He clapped his hands. I never doubted your decision. On Monday, we'll introduce you at the general manager's meeting. For now, he handed her a stack of papers. Look through these. They're the last projects the previous director was working on. The rest of the day flew by as Anna dove into the documents, trying not to think about her conflict with Igor. By evening, she couldn't stand it anymore and called her mother-in-law. Maybe Igor was there. Hello, Galina Petrovna, she said in the friendliest voice she could manage, after hearing the familiar drawn-out "Elu" on the other end. Oh, my daughter-in-law, came the chilly reply. Didn't expect a call from you. Or, did your new big position finally give you time to talk to me? Anna clenched her teeth, ignoring the jab. Is Igor with you? She asked directly. He was, her mother-in-law said. He dropped by last night, but only for a short while. Didn't he come home? Her tone suddenly grew worried. Anna quickly reassured her. Of course he did. We just had a little argument, and he left early this morning without saying goodbye. Anna couldn't reach Igor on the phone. Oh, Anya, sighed Galina Petrovna. What are you doing to that poor man? You've gotten too proud with your career. Being a boss isn't really a woman's business. Please, let's not start this again, Anna said tiredly. If Igor comes by, just tell him to call me. She hung up, feeling drained. Talking to her mother-in-law always left her without energy. Still, at least Igor was alive and well, he was just acting offended. Fine. She wasn't going to run after him or beg. She had enough to deal with. By 6 p.m, Anna left the office and headed home. On the way, she bought some simple groceries, just pasta and cheese. Nothing fancy. She didn't even have much appetite. At the entrance to her building, she bumped into her upstairs neighbor, retired Lieutenant Colonel Viktor Stepanovich, always grumpy about noise. Good evening, she greeted, pulling out her keys. Evening it is, but not for everyone, he grumbled, giving her a stern look. What was wrong with your husband last night? He was yelling songs for the whole building to hear and couldn't even get into his own apartment. I almost called the police, but decided to spare you. I'm sorry, Anna muttered, her cheeks burning with shame. It won't happen again. Inside, her stomach twisted at the thought that everyone in the building knew about their problems. She hurried to unlock the door, bracing herself for a mess. But the apartment was mostly in order, only some muddy boots and a crumpled jacket in the hallway. In the living room, she found Igor asleep on the couch, surrounded by messy pillows. His breathing was heavy, and the stench of alcohol filled the air. On the floor lay an empty vodka bottle. Anger boiled inside her. Instead of talking like an adult, he got drunk and humiliated her in front of the neighbors. She yanked the curtains open, flooding the room with light. Get up, she said sharply. We need to talk. Igor groaned, squinting at the brightness, and slowly sat up, holding his head. Couldn't you be quieter? He rasped. My head is killing me. No, I couldn't, Anna snapped, crossing her arms. And I will make life easier for your hangover. You wanted peace? Then you shouldn't have gotten drunk and put on a show for the entire building. What show? He muttered, confused. Viktor Stepanovich said you were yelling songs in the middle of the night and couldn't even get into your own door. And Nina Pavlovna saw you stumbling like you couldn't stand straight. Half the building knows my husband drank himself stupid last night. Igor stared at the empty bottle, his unshaven face showing both exhaustion and guilt. But Anna felt no pity. She'd had enough. She marched into the kitchen and banged pots around loudly, making it clear she was cooking just for herself. A few minutes later, Igor appeared in the doorway. He had washed up and changed into a clean t-shirt. The smell of alcohol still clung to him, but his eyes were clearer. Sorry, he said quietly, leaning on the doorframe. I had too much to drink with the guys in the garage last night. I didn't think it would get this bad, Igor said quietly. Anna stirred the pasta, without looking at him. His apology sounded just like all the others, flat, without any real regret. Just words he felt he had to say. He stepped closer. Anya, don't stay quiet. Forgive me, okay? I was wrong. I lost my temper. She finally turned to him, her eyes stinging with tears. Wrong? You have no idea what I went through. I thought something had happened to you. And all that time, you were just drunk and passed out at home. What am I supposed to tell the neighbors? That my husband can't handle my promotion like a grown man? Igor looked away, his shoulders dropping. He opened the fridge, pulled out a bottle of mineral water, and drank straight from it. Setting it down, he asked in a sharp voice, "But isn't that what you think? That I'm a loser who can't deal with his wife's success?" Anna sighed deeply. Once again, it all came back to his wounded pride.
No, Igor.
That's not what I think. You're the one calling yourself a loser, not me. To me, you're my husband, the man I love, the one I want to share my happiness with. But what do I get instead? Resentment, complaints, and drunken scenes. He stayed silent, turning the bottle in his hands. Then, in a calmer voice, he said, "I went to see my mother. She told me what she thinks about your promotion." Anna groaned inside. Just what she needed. "And what did the wise Galina Petrovna say?" she asked, dripping with sarcasm. "She said a woman should live by her husband's means," Igor replied, missing her tone. "That it's wrong for a wife to earn more, that it makes a man look weak in front of others." "Oh, for God's sake, Igor." Anna rolled her eyes. "Your mother needs to realize this isn't the 1950s. Women have the right to a career, and it doesn't take anything away from men." "Easy for you to say," he snapped back. "You don't know what it's like. When your wife makes twice as much, and everyone's just waiting to laugh at you behind your back." "And who exactly is laughing?" Anna crossed her arms. "Your buddy Sergey? Maybe you should stop listening to a guy who's had 3 jobs in a year and still lives with his mom." She knew right away she'd gone too far. Igor's face twisted with anger. "Don't you dare insult my friends," he shouted, slamming his fist on the table. The mineral water bottle toppled over, spilling across the counter. Anna grabbed a towel and silently wiped it up, her hands shaking. The kitchen fell into heavy silence. Finally, Igor took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "Listen, let's be honest. I just want things to be like before. You took care of the home, and I provided for the family." "And what? I don't take care of the home now." Anna shot back. "I cook, I clean, I make this place warm. Does my job stop me from doing that?" "That's not the point." He shook his head. "It's just, Mom thinks that when a woman becomes too successful, her priorities change." She started to realize, Igor was afraid, she looked down on him now, that she'd want someone richer, more successful. "So that's it," Anna said quietly, finally understanding. "You're scared I'll leave you, that I'll find someone better?" Igor stayed silent, but his eyes gave him away. That silence hurt her the most, because deep down, he really did believe her love was shallow. "Igor, we've been together 7 years," she said softly, stepping closer. "I love you, not your paycheck. I don't care who earns more. What matters is that we're together." He stared at the floor, avoiding her eyes. "Mom says we need to control the family budget," he muttered. "Now that you're making this kind of money, I need to make sure you don't waste it. Otherwise, it's wrong." Anna froze. "Wrong? What do you mean?" "You want to control my money." "Not yours, ours," he corrected stubbornly. "We're family, right? The budget should be shared." "It always has been," Anna sighed. "I've never hidden my income or my expenses." "I want you to give me your whole salary," he suddenly blurted out. "I'll hand you money for expenses, and the rest will go into savings, for our future." Anna couldn't help it, she laughed. The demand sounded so absurd. "Are you crazy? What am I, a child who needs pocket money? Or some servant handing everything over to her master?" Igor's face darkened with anger. "See? This is what I was talking about. You already think you're above me. Mom warned me." He slammed his hand on the table, then stormed out of the kitchen. She heard the closet door slam, the sound of clothes rustling. When she peeked out, he was putting on his jacket. "You're leaving again?" she asked wearily. "I need advice," he muttered over his shoulder. "From her." "You're 30, Igor," she reminded him. Maybe it's time you made your own decisions without your mom holding your hand. He turned, and the look in his eyes made Anna shrink inside. So much anger, so much bitterness. Don't you dare talk about my mother like that, he said in a low, threatening voice. She only wants the best for me, unlike some people. The front door slammed. Anna sank down on the hallway chair, exhausted. What was happening to their family? Where was the caring, loving Igor she once knew? Had he always been like this, and she just didn't see it before? Her thoughts spun in circles. Maybe she should give up the promotion. Maybe that would bring peace back to their marriage, bring back the man she once loved. No, she told herself firmly. That's not right. I won't sacrifice my achievements because of someone else's insecurities and outdated beliefs, even if that someone is my husband. She spent the rest of the evening alone, eating dinner without appetite, half watching a meaningless TV show without following the plot. Igor didn't return. He didn't even call. At 10 p.m. her phone buzzed with a short message, staying at mom's. The next morning, for the first time in ages, Anna overslept. She rushed out the door without breakfast, running to the metro. Work kept her busy all day. Meetings, reports, getting ready for her new position. Anna threw herself into work, trying not to think about the problems at home. Around 4 p.m., Igor called. We need to talk, he said flatly. All right, Anna replied. I'll be home by 7. I'm taking the day off, he added. I'll wait for you at home. Something in his voice worried her. There was a strange determination there, but she pushed the thought aside. Work needed her focus. At exactly 7, Anna walked into the apartment. Igor was sitting in the living room chair. On the coffee table in front of him lay a sheet of paper and a half-empty bottle of cognac. You're drinking again? She asked wearily instead of greeting him. Had to clear my head, he answered, standing up. We need to talk seriously, Anna. His calmness unnerved her. He was too collected, too steady. Nothing like the emotional Igor from last night. I've made a decision, he said, pointing at the paper. This is a power of attorney for your bank accounts. I want you to sign it. Anna picked up the sheet. It really was a legal form, giving him full control of her money. Slowly, she lifted her eyes to his. You seriously think I'll sign this? I'm more than serious, he nodded. Mom and I discussed it. As the man of the house, I should control the finances. That's how it was with my parents. That's how it should be with us. And how did your parents' marriage end? Anna asked quietly, anger rising in her chest. Your father drank away your mother's salary and left her for another woman. That's your role model. Igor's face twisted. Don't you dare talk about my father like that. His voice shook with rage. You don't know what he went through. At work, they crushed him, humiliated him, and at home my mother nagged nonstop. He was a real man. Life just treated him unfairly. She never knew how to build a normal family. Unfairly. Anna snapped. Not drinking, not beating his wife and child. That's what you call impossible? My God, Igor, can't you see you're repeating his path? She crumpled the paper and threw it to the floor. I will never sign something like that. And let's be honest, the problem isn't my promotion or money. The problem is your own insecurity. You need to learn to celebrate my success instead of being jealous of it. Igor's fists clenched and unclenched. His jaw tightened, eyes bloodshot. She saw it all, but the words kept coming. And one more thing. Stop letting your mother control your every move. She doesn't want you to grow up. She treats you like a boy, and you just follow along. She didn't finish the sentence. In an instant, Igor lunged forward, his palm striking her across the face with brutal force. The blow threw Anna against the wall, her shoulder slamming painfully. Stunned, she pressed her hand to her burning cheek, unable to believe what had just happened. I told you not to talk about my mother, Igor said hoarsely, staring down at her. There was something dark and unfamiliar in his eyes, something Anna had never seen before. In that instant, she realized this wasn't the Igor she once met at a concert. This man standing in front of her was someone else, dangerous, unpredictable, almost a stranger. You hit me, she whispered, still not believing it had happened. And you pushed me to it, he shot back, as if excusing himself. It's your fault. Time felt frozen. She looked at the man she thought she knew for 7 years, and all she saw was betrayal. Her cheek was burning, her ears ringing, but worse than the pain was the feeling that her whole life had cracked in one moment. It's your fault. His words echoed in her head. How many women had heard that after the first hit? How many had believed it, stayed quiet, and let it happen again? Suddenly, she remembered her father's words from long ago. She had just earned her brown belt in karate when he told her, "I'm teaching you to defend yourself not so you'll start fights, but so you'll never be a victim. So you'll never live in fear, and you'll always be able to stand up for yourself." Anna slowly lowered her hand from her burning cheek. Her mind cleared. Her body remembered the movements she hadn't used in years. She straightened up, took a deep breath, and looked Igor right in the eye. "Never," she said firmly, each word sharp. "Don't you ever touch me again." Igor smirked, waving his hand like it was a joke. "Oh, really? What then? You'll run to the police. Who's gonna believe that tough mechanic Igor Sokolov got beaten by his skinny accountant wife?" He stepped forward, reaching for her arm. But Anna was ready. Just as his fingers brushed her wrist, she spun to the side, grabbed his hand, and twisted his elbow into a painful lock. Igor let out a surprised cry. "I told you," Anna said calmly, holding the pressure. "Don't touch me." Igor's face twisted with rage. He yanked hard, breaking free, and lunged at her with a growl. But years of training hadn't been wasted. Anna dodged his clumsy attack, blocked, and countered with a sharp strike to his solar plexus. Igor gasped for breath, doubling over, clutching his stomach. His eyes went wide with shock. He clearly didn't expect her to fight back. What are you doing?" he rasped, stepping backward. Anna stood firm in a classic fighting stance. Years of training had come back to her instantly. "Defending myself," she said simply. "And I'll keep defending myself if you ever raise your hand to me again." Igor straightened, rubbing his bruised side. The surprise on his face quickly turned to anger. "So that's how it is," he muttered through clenched teeth. "Not only are you a career climber and a show-off, but now you think you can fight too?" His eyes landed on a heavy crystal vase sitting on the coffee table, a wedding gift from his mother. Without looking away from Anna, he grabbed it and hurled it at her. She managed to jump aside, but the vase smashed against the wall, shattering into sharp pieces. One shard grazed her cheek, and she felt a thin line of blood trickling down. "Are you insane?" Anna shouted, backing toward the front door. "You could have killed me. Stop provoking me." Igor roared, storming toward her. He was past angry now, he was in a blind rage. "So, karate again, huh? Fine. I'll show you what a real fight is." He charged at her with a wild swing. Anna dodged quickly, but this time she didn't strike back. She didn't want to hurt him, she only wanted to protect herself. Igor attacked again, this time grabbing at her hair. His fist caught her shoulder, slamming her into the wall. Just then, the sharp sound of the doorbell cut through the chaos. They both froze. "Anna? Igor? What's going on in there?" came the worried voice of their neighbor through the door. "I called the police. They're on their way." "Damn it," Igor cursed, stepping back. This was the last thing he needed. He looked around in panic, as if not sure what to do next. "Open it," Anna said calmly, her voice steady. "Just open the door." The bell rang again and again. Now another voice joined in, the deep voice of Viktor Stepanovich, their retired army neighbor. "Anna, are you okay?" "Open the door," shouted his wife, Nina Pavlovna. "We heard screams and breaking glass." "Open up, Sokolov," barked Viktor, "or we'll break the door down." Without waiting for Igor, Anna went to the door and pulled it open. On the doorstep stood Nina in her bathrobe and curlers, and Viktor in his old tracksuit, holding their Bengal cat. "Oh my God, child, you're bleeding," Nina gasped when she saw Anna's face. "What did that monster do to you?" Viktor handed the cat to his wife and marched into the apartment, glaring at Igor. "Listen here," he said in a commanding tone. "The police are on their way, and we'll tell them everything. Beating your wife. That's a criminal charge, Sokolov. I didn't hit anyone. Igor snapped back, but his voice had lost its old confidence. She started it, she hit me first, he stammered, realizing how absurd it sounded. Of course, Victor said sarcastically. And the vase just magically flew into the wall by itself and cut your wife's face? We heard everything. And this isn't the first time you've been putting on these ugly shows. Heavy footsteps echoed in the stairwell, and soon a young police officer appeared at the door. Officer Kravtsov, he introduced himself. We got a call about domestic violence. Who's the victim here? I called, blurted out Nina Pavlovna, stroking her cat, who squinted suspiciously at the stranger. I heard shouting, things crashing, glass breaking, and then Anya screamed, "You could have killed me." So I dialed 102. The officer looked carefully at Anna's face, where a cut was still bleeding. His eyes moved to the shattered vase pieces on the floor, then to Igor, standing by the window like a shadow. So, the officer concluded, there was physical violence. Ma'am, do you want to file a report? Anna hesitated. Despite everything, the thought of sending her husband to jail was unbearable. 7 years together, it wasn't nothing. He made a mistake, said awful things, but she has to. Nina Pavlovna cut in. Sweetheart, if you let him go now, tomorrow he'll come back and it'll be worse. I've seen this before. My neighbor forgave her drunk husband over and over. You know how it ended? With a funeral. Ma'am, please don't pressure her, the officer said sternly. The decision is hers alone. Everyone's eyes turned to Anna. Her temples throbbed. It felt like her whole life was crumbling in front of her. The happy marriage, the dreams of a family, it all lay in pieces, sharp as the shards on the floor. She glanced at Igor. His head was down, his face pale, like a man cornered. The alcohol was wearing off, and he seemed to finally realize what had happened. I don't want to press charges, Anna said at last. But I don't want to stay here tonight either.
What?
This is your apartment, protested Viktor Stepanovich. Why should you be the one to leave? It's my choice, Anna replied firmly. I'll spend the night at a friend's. And you, she turned to Igor, by tomorrow evening, I want you gone. Pack your things and leave. We need time apart. Igor lifted his eyes, filled with anger, shame, and confusion. You're kicking me out over one argument? You hit me, Igor, Anna said calmly. You threw a vase at me. If not for my reflexes, who knows how it would have ended? This isn't just an argument. You crossed a line, Anna said quietly. The police officer wrote down both their details, looked around the room, and took a picture of the cut on Anna's face. I still recommend you file a report, he told her. At least to get a protective order. It would stop your husband from coming near you, calling you, or harassing you. Believe me, in my experience, legal protection makes a difference. For how long? Igor asked defiantly. Usually about 30 days, the officer replied. But a judge can extend it. Anna thought for a moment. A month apart, maybe that's exactly what they needed. All right, she nodded. I'll file for a protective order. Igor flinched, as if she had struck him. I can't believe you're doing this to me. After everything we've been through? You did this, Igor, Anna answered softly. Not me. While Anna filled out the forms with the officer's guidance, Nina Pavlovna fussed around her, pressing a cotton pad soaked in peroxide against her cheek. Igor stood silently by the window, just watching. I suggest you also go to the clinic, the officer said once the paperwork was done. Your injuries need to be documented. It's important for the case. Anna nodded. More than anything, she just wanted to leave the apartment, which now felt hostile and foreign. I'll go with you, dear, Nina Pavlovna said firmly. You're not running around hospitals alone like this. They packed quickly. Anna only grabbed the essentials, tossing them into a small travel bag. Igor didn't try to stop her. He only watched with a look that mixed anger and confusion. In his eyes, she was still guilty. Guilty for defending herself. Guilty for daring to stand against him. Guilty for breaking his picture of what a proper family should be. When the door finally shut behind them, Anna felt a strange relief. It was as if a heavy weight she had carried for years without noticing had suddenly fallen off her shoulders. "Shall we go to Karina's?" asked Nina Pavlovna as they stepped outside. "I remember you talked to her on the phone a lot." "Yes," to her, Anna agreed. She and Marina had been close friends for more than 15 years. If anyone could support her now, it was her. At the clinic, they were met by an older, tired-looking doctor who quickly examined Anna's injuries. A scratch on the cheek, a bruise on the shoulder. He dictated to the nurse filling out her chart. The injuries matched the circumstances. Minor harm to health. He cleaned the wound, applied a small bandage, and handed her a medical certificate for the police. "Family troubles?" he asked knowingly, returning her passport. "Not anymore," Anna answered quietly. The doctor nodded. In his weary eyes flashed a brief approval. "You did the right thing, girl. I've seen too many cases like yours. If a man hits you once, he won't hesitate to do it again. Take care of yourself." Marina opened the door and pulled Anna into a tight hug. "What a bastard," she burst out when she saw the bandage on her friend's cheek. "I warned you, I told you, and I just knew it would come to this." Nina Pavlovna, making sure Anna was safe, said goodbye, promising to stop by the next day. She had already exchanged phone numbers with Marina and now felt like an important part of the mission to protect the young neighbor. "I've got a sofa bed. I'll set it up for you in the living room," Marina said, bustling around. "Stay as long as you need, 1 month, 2 months, doesn't matter. There's enough room." She guided Anna to the kitchen, put on the kettle, and pulled out a box of fine Ceylon tea she saved for special occasions. "Now talk. Tell me everything. Don't leave anything out."
So, Anna did.
She told her about the promotion, Igor's reaction, the drinking, the demand to sign over power of attorney, the slap, how she defended herself with karate, the broken vase, and the police showing up. "You know what's the scariest part?" Anna said quietly when she finished. "I didn't recognize him. It was like a complete stranger was standing in front of me. The Igor I knew would never raise a hand against me." "The truth is," Marina said thoughtfully, stirring her tea with a silver spoon, "maybe you never really knew the real Igor. He only showed you the parts of himself he wanted you to see. And now the mask is off." Anna stared silently into her cooling tea. Her thoughts were tangled. What would happen next? How do you rebuild a life when everything you thought was solid suddenly collapses like a house of cards? "You know," she admitted softly, "I almost agreed to give up the promotion. I thought, so what? Family is more important than career.
But now,
I'm not sure if a family that breaks at the first test is worth such a sacrifice." Marina covered her hand with her own. "You did the right thing, Anya. With the promotion and with everything tonight. You can't give up who you are for someone else, even if that someone is your husband. Especially if it's your husband." The next 2 weeks passed for Anna like in a fog. During the day, she threw herself into work. At night, she returned to Marina's place and fell asleep quickly, drained by her emotions. She had no contact with Igor. The restraining order was in place, and he didn't try to reach her. It was as if he had simply disappeared from her life. On Monday, Anna was officially introduced to her new team in her new role. Sitting in the big conference room, listening to the applause and congratulations, she felt like she was split in two. One side was the confident professional woman in a business suit, the other was still trying to piece herself back together. The other part of her felt lost, heartbroken, not knowing what to do with her personal life. Nina Pavlovna kept calling regularly, giving her updates. He left on the 4th day, packed his things, and moved out. Probably to his mother's. "The apartment is in order, I checked. Nothing broken, nothing damaged. I insisted on keeping a spare key, just in case." She now felt it was her duty to drop by Anna's place, water the plants, and make sure everything was fine. At work, Anna told no one about what had happened. When people asked about the scratch on her cheek, she just repeated the same line, "I fell, unlucky accident." Colleagues nodded sympathetically and didn't pry further, which she was grateful for. Only Valery Sergeevich seemed to suspect the truth. One day, after meeting, he stopped her. "Anna Mikhailovna, I'm old school. I don't like to interfere in people's private lives. But if you have problems and I can help in any way, Just say so. Thank you, Valery Sergeevich, she smiled softly. I'll manage. Marina kept insisting Anna stay with her until the restraining order expired. Don't rush back home. What if he shows up again? But by the third week, Anna decided to return. She couldn't rely on her friend's hospitality forever, and she needed to face her new reality, life without Igor. Walking into her apartment for the first time since that night, she froze at the doorway. The air was stale, the silence heavy. Despite Nina Pavlovna's efforts, there was dust on the furniture. But what weighed most was the emptiness, both physical and emotional. She opened the windows to let in the May breeze, walked from room to room, noting the missing pieces, empty hangers in the closet, bare shelves in the bathroom, his nightstand now vacant. 7 years of life together had shrunk to a few boxes he carried away. In the cupboard, she noticed a gap. The crystal vase was gone, the one that had shattered that night. Of course, the shards had been cleaned long ago, probably by Nina Pavlovna. Among the piled-up mail, Anna found an envelope from the court. Igor had filed for divorce. Expected, yes, but the official document still hit her like ice. So simple, a stroke of a pen, and 7 years erased as if they had never existed. That night she tossed and turned in their bed, listening to the alien sounds of the empty apartment. The ticking clock, cars outside, footsteps from upstairs neighbors. Sounds that once felt normal now seemed cold, unfriendly. She finally fell asleep at dawn, only to be woken by her ringing phone. Her mother's name flashed on the screen. Anna had forgotten she promised to call after her promotion. "Anechka, my darling," her mother's worried voice burst through. "What's happened? Why haven't you called?" "Your father is beside himself with worry." "I'm fine, Mom," Anna answered automatically, rising from bed. "Just a lot of work. New position, new responsibilities, you know." "And Igor? How is he?" Anna went silent. She didn't want to tell the truth, but she couldn't lie either. Finally, she whispered, "We separated, Mom. He filed for divorce." The line went quiet. Then her mother asked softly, "What happened? Was it because of your promotion?"
Yes.
"He couldn't handle my success." "How do you know?" Anna asked in surprise. "My dear, I'm your mother," Valentina Sergeevna sighed. "I saw how he looked at you when you talked about your work," her mom said. "The way he pressed his lips together when your boss praised you on the phone. Male pride, it's a dangerous thing, especially when mixed with insecurity." "It wasn't just that, Mom." Anna sat on the edge of her bed, holding the phone tight. "He raised his hand at me." She gave a short version of what happened, skipping the worst details so she wouldn't scare her mom. But even that was enough. "Come here right now," Valentina said firmly. "Ask for time off work. It's only 300 kilometers. Your father will drive over and pick you up." "Mom, I can't just drop everything," Anna answered gently. "I have a new position, new responsibilities. And besides, I need to handle this myself." After a long back and forth, her mother reluctantly agreed, but made her promise to come visit during the May holidays. Before hanging up, she added, "You know, Anya, your father was right. Remember how he insisted you learn karate? He always said, one day it will come in handy." For the first time in weeks, Anna smiled, really smiled. Tell him his old lessons saved his daughter. Even back then, I learned the most important thing. Never let anyone turn you into a victim. When she hung up, she leaned back on her pillow, strangely relieved. Her parents always gave her strength, even from a distance. "I'll visit them once work settles down," she thought as she got out of bed. The day went by quickly, cleaning, laundry, cooking. Anna kept herself busy, not giving sadness a chance to sneak in. That evening, Marina called. "So, how are you holding up? Are you scared to be alone? Want me to come over and stay the night?" "I'm fine, Marisha," Anna reassured her. "I can handle it. And thank you for everything. Without you, Don't even start crying." Marina cut her off in a mock serious tone. "Or I'll come over and spank you. Don't forget, I've got a third-class boxing rank." Anna laughed through her tears. Marina, of course, had no boxing rank. It was just an old inside joke from their college days. The next week was packed with work. quarterly reports, audits, documents for the tax office. She came home late, too tired even to eat, and just collapsed in bed. But the heavy workload helped her not think too much about her broken personal life. Still, on Friday evening, when she finally came home early, she suddenly realized she couldn't stand being in that apartment. The memories, the heaviness, it was all too much. It felt like ghosts from the past were walking through the rooms, whispering their sad stories. Anna suddenly remembered Stepan would be coming back soon, and she needed to leave this apartment. Stepan Dmitrievich, a distant relative of her grandmother, had let her live here 7 years ago when he left to work abroad. The deal was simple. She could stay until he returned. And now he had written to say he was coming back to Moscow for good in just a month. Opening her laptop, Anna started looking through rental ads. The prices were high, but with her new salary, she could afford a small one-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. Or, even better, maybe she could get a mortgage and finally buy her own place. With her job title, the banks would probably approve her. Excited by this thought, she began making a list of what she would take into her new life and what she would leave behind. The TV and computer they had bought together could stay with Igor. Same with the kitchen appliances. But her favorite lamp with the orange shade, the one she had bought before the wedding, that she would take. And, of course, her books. They weren't many, just enough to fit in one box. While going through the storage shelves, Anna found her old guitar. It was the first instrument her father had given her for her 16th birthday. She used to play quite well, even sang in an amateur band, but later abandoned it, like many other things from her past life. She brushed off the dust, strummed the strings. Out of tune, of course, but nothing that couldn't be fixed. Suddenly, she had the urge to play. She sat down with the guitar on her lap and started picking out chords she hadn't touched in years. Slowly, her fingers remembered. Her body remembered. Quietly, she sang an old song she had loved as a teenager. And without realizing it, she started to cry. For the first time in all these crazy weeks, she let herself break down completely, releasing all the pain and disappointment. She cried for her broken dreams, for her lost love, for trusting the wrong person. When the tears finally stopped, she felt lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted off her shoulders. Tomorrow would be a new day, a new life, without Igor, without fear, without doubt. Just her and her future. A future bright and free of violence or humiliation. A soft knock at the door broke her thoughts. On the doorstep stood an elderly man in a tweed jacket with a neatly trimmed gray beard. Stepan Dmitrievich. Anna gasped. She couldn't believe her eyes. But you weren't supposed to come for another month. The contract ended earlier, he smiled. I decided to return right away. Hello, Aniuta. Glad I caught you at home. He stepped inside and looked around the living room carefully. And where's your husband? I remember you two moved in together. Anna briefly explained what had happened, without going into details. Stepan frowned. So, you're looking for a place to live? Yes, she nodded. I've already started checking rental options. He stroked his beard thoughtfully. You know, I don't have just this apartment. I also have a 2-bedroom on Profsoyuznaya. I inherited it from an uncle. I don't plan on living there myself. What do I need so much space for living alone? So, I could rent it to you, family price. Practically symbolic. Stepan Dmitrievich, I can't accept something so generous, Anna protested. You can, he waved her off. You looked after my apartment for 7 years, even renovated it.
Think of this as my thanks.
Besides, family is family, even if we're not that close. He pulled some keys from his jacket pocket and handed them to her. Here, take these. You remember the address, right? The apartment's fully furnished. I haven't touched anything since my uncle passed. Move your things in and live there. Later we'll see what's next. Anna was speechless. Was this luck? Fate? A miracle? Thank you, was all she could whisper as she accepted the keys. Don't mention it, Stepan smiled. Then he paused. Actually, I've been thinking, I don't need that apartment on Profsoyuznaya at all. Why don't we transfer it to your name? As a gift. That way you'll always have your own roof over your head, no matter what happens with work or life. Anna froze. But that's a huge amount of money. I can't. Listen, he interrupted gently. I'm 68. No kids, no wife. Who am I saving it for? You're like a daughter to me. Your grandmother, God rest her soul, always loved you more than anyone. I know she'd support me in this. He patted Anna's shoulder. On Monday we'll go to the notary and get the papers signed. For now, mind if I take a look around? I haven't been home in 7 years. The next day Anna went to see her future apartment on Profsoyuzhnaya. It was a spacious old building with high ceilings, vintage furniture, and the cozy atmosphere of her childhood days at her grandmother's. Oak floors, a massive crystal chandelier, bookshelves reaching the ceiling. A new life, a new beginning, Anna thought as she opened the windows, letting in fresh air and sunlight. There were no memories of Igor here. No broken vase, no bitter words, no crushed hopes. Only the future. And for the first time in weeks, it looked bright. The first divorce hearing was scheduled for the following week. Anna didn't plan to fight or demand property. Let everything stay in the past. That evening Marina called. Are you home alone? Want me to come over? I'm not there anymore, Anna said, glancing around her new living room. You won't believe what happened. Marina gasped after hearing the story.
Wow.
What a twist. Tell me, is your relative single by any chance? At 35, I'd totally marry a grandpa, if he's that generous. They both burst out laughing. And Anna realized she was laughing freely from the heart for the first time in a long while. So, when's the housewarming? Marina asked in her usual brisk tone. Maybe in a week. I haven't even settled in yet. But Marina insisted. No excuses. We have to celebrate this. Don't worry, I'll go with you, Marina said. About the divorce, you're not going to court alone, right? Of course alone, Anna shrugged. Who else would go? Are you serious? Marina frowned. You think I'd let you face him by yourself? No way. We're going together. Who knows what's on his mind? Anna smiled, feeling warmth in her chest from her friend's care. Thanks, Marina. Really? Come on, that's what friends are for, Marina said, embarrassed. Later, while unpacking in her new apartment, Anna found a box of old photos. One was from her wedding day with Igor. They looked young, happy, full of hope. He had his arm around her shoulders, and she leaned into him, trusting and gentle. Anna stared at the photo for a long time, then quietly put it in the back of the drawer. She didn't want to rip it up or burn it like people do in movies.
No.
That was part of her life, part of her experience. Lessons she needed to keep, not erase. She had learned a lot. That you can't sacrifice yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. That love should lift you up, not crush you. That every woman has the right to her own dreams and happiness. And most of all, that no words can ever excuse violence. Now, in her new apartment, with a new job and a fresh start, Anna felt stronger than ever. Yes, the price had been high. Broken illusions, betrayal, pain, shattered dreams. But she had survived. And now she knew for sure. Whatever happens, she can handle it. The day of the divorce hearing turned out sunny and warm. Anna wore a simple dark blue suit. Not mourning, not celebration. Just study. Marina insisted on picking her up and going with her. You ready? Marina asked, searching her friend's face. Strangely enough, yes, Anna nodded, checking her papers in her bag. I just want this over with. The courthouse was cool and echoey. Their footsteps bounced along the long hallways. Benches were filled with people, some divorcing, some fighting over property, some battling for their children. Everyone had their own story, their own pain. They spotted Igor sitting at the end of the corridor, tapping his foot nervously. When he noticed Anna, he stood, straightening his jacket. He looked thinner, with dark shadows under his eyes, but still held himself with a challenging stare. And who's this? He asked, nodding toward Marina. Her moral support. Marina shot back firmly, standing at Anna's side. I have the right to be here. Anna gently touched her friend's hand. It's okay, Marina. I'll handle it. Wait here for me, please. She stepped forward toward her ex-husband. Oddly, she felt no fear, no anger, no bitterness, only tiredness and the wish to end this chapter of her life. "How's your cheek?" Igor asked suddenly, glancing at the faint scar on her face. "Healing," Anna replied shortly. "Scars on the body fade faster than the ones on the soul." He looked away, as if the words hurt him. "I've thought a lot these months," he said quietly. "I don't know what came over me back then. I never thought I was capable of something like that." Anna stayed silent, not knowing what to answer. Inside, a small hope stirred. Maybe he really had changed? Maybe he understood now? Maybe it was worth giving him another chance? But then he spoke again. "Mom says it's your fault," Igor continued. "She says a woman should feel when a man is struggling. She should support him, not take the spotlight. She thinks your promotion was a blow to my pride, and you should have turned it down." The hope inside Anna faded instantly. With every word, it became clearer. Nothing had changed. He was still under his mother's influence. He still believed a woman should give up her dreams for a man's ego. "And what do you think?" Anna asked when he finally stopped talking. Igor shrugged. "I don't know. But I miss you, Anya. I miss our life, our home. Maybe we could think it over? Maybe not rush into the divorce." There was pleading in his eyes, but Anna no longer trusted that look, just as she no longer trusted his words. "No, Igor," she said firmly. "It's too late. Too much has happened. Too much is broken. And it's not just about that vase." "Then at least can I hope for your forgiveness someday?" he interrupted, stepping closer. Anna instinctively moved back. He froze, realizing she no longer felt safe. "You want my forgiveness?" she repeated.
Why?
"So you can feel lighter? So you can tell yourself, it's fine now, I'm forgiven, I can move on?" "No, Igor. I can't forgive you. Not now. Maybe one day, when the wound isn't so fresh. But not today." Just then, the courtroom doors opened, and the clerk called them in. The procedure was surprisingly quick. The judge, a tired-looking woman, only asked a few questions, confirmed there were no property disputes, and declared their marriage dissolved. 7 years of life together ended with a signature in less than 15 minutes. When they stepped out into the hallway, neither of them spoke at first. Walking away, without a single word, felt wrong. "I hope things go well for you," Igor finally said, staring past her. "And I wish the same for you," Anna replied. Then she added softly, "But I want you to understand something. It was never about my promotion or the money. The problem was your insecurity. Instead of growing with me, you tried to drag me down. And that's unforgivable." Igor lowered his head in silence. Then, almost childishly, he asked, "That crystal vase, do you remember it? Was it really that precious to you?" Anna gave a sad smile. "It wasn't about the vase, Igor. It was about the fact that you threw it." She turned and walked toward Marina, who was waiting for her. And with each step, the heavy weight Anna had carried in her chest for weeks finally began to lift. The heaviness wasn't gone completely, but it felt lighter, like part of the weight had finally fallen off her shoulders. "How are you?" Marina asked, hugging her friend. "Like I just woke up from a long nightmare," Anna answered honestly. "You know what's strange? I almost feel sorry for him." "Sorry?" Marina gasped. "For that spoiled mama's boy? He doesn't deserve it." "Sure." Anna gently stopped her. "He's not a bad person, Marina. Just weak and very lost. And he already paid for his weakness. He lost his family, his home, his reputation. Isn't that punishment enough?" Marina shook her head, but didn't argue. They walked out of the courthouse into the bright spring sunshine. "So, what now?" Marina asked, squinting at the light.
Now.
Anna took a deep breath of fresh air. "Now I'm going to start living for real." 6 months later, Anna was sitting in her new apartment, cozy in an old armchair by the window. In her hands was the guitar she had found in storage. Every evening she played old songs, new songs, losing herself in the music. Life was slowly coming together. Work gave her not only money, but also satisfaction. In the mornings she woke up with excitement, not with fear and heaviness like before. In her free time, She went back to karate, this time volunteering in a women's self-defense group. There she met Vera, a psychologist who led workshops on healing after abuse. They quickly became friends. Her apartment on Profsoyuzhnaya Street was now officially hers. Stepan Dmitrievich had kept his word, gifted her the place, and moved back to his hometown in Vologda, closer to nature. Sometimes he called to check on her and share stories about his quiet village life. Nina Pavlovna, the kind neighbor, often came by for tea. She was proud of Anna and told everyone how their Anya had found the strength to start fresh. Anna's parents visited in May. Her father helped fix the kitchen, her mother taught her new recipes. They never asked about the past, and Anna was grateful for that. But before leaving, her father said quietly, "I'm proud of you, daughter. You're strong. You've always been strong, even when you didn't know it." There was no news of Igor. It was as if he had disappeared. Only once did Nina Pavlovna mention seeing his mother. She said Igor had moved to St. Petersburg, found a new job, and even started therapy. Maybe it was true, maybe not. Anna didn't care. The past was behind her, and she wasn't going to drag it into her future. That evening, Marina and her husband were coming over, along with Vera and her new boyfriend. Just a simple get-together with friends. No special reason, just because. Back when she lived with Igor, their home was always closed off. He didn't like guests, as he called them, strangers. But now Anna enjoyed opening her door to people she loved. The doorbell rang, pulling her from her thoughts. She set her guitar aside and went to answer. On the doorstep stood Marina, holding a huge bouquet of chrysanthemums and a bottle of wine. "I'm first," she announced proudly, stepping in. "Sergey's stuck at work. He'll come later." "Wow, something smells amazing. What's in the oven?" "Chicken with apples and honey," Anna smiled, taking the flowers. "My mom's recipe." She brought a vase, arranging the chrysanthemums while Marina sat at the kitchen stool, watching. "You know," Marina suddenly said, "you've changed." "In what way?" Anna looked at her. "In a good way. You glow from the inside, like you finally became yourself again, the Anna I knew back in college. Brave, fun, confident." Anna paused. Marina was right. Something had changed. Not all at once, but slowly, day by day. She had relearned how to be herself again, without fear, without trying to fit anyone else's expectations. "You know what I realized these past months?" Anna said, sitting down across from her friend. "The real price of success isn't losing relationships that weren't worth keeping. It's finding your true self. And that's worth any loss." Marina smiled, poured the wine, and raised her glass. "To you, Anya. To your success. And to your new life." They clinked glasses, and the clear ring of crystal filled the kitchen, bright and full of promise. Outside, the October evening was fading. Lights came on across Moscow, and Anna felt it. This was the start of a new chapter. A chapter she would write herself, in her own words, by her own rules. Her greatest victory wasn't over Igor or over the circumstances. It was over her fears, her doubts, the stereotypes and expectations that once chained her down. It was the victory of finally becoming free to be herself. And that victory was worth everything.